Hello again, my MMA true believers. I am, of course, Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com, and I am joined by a man who is one half of a fight that is likely to be a Fight of the Night candidate at Bellator 238 on January 25th. There, he will face a talented stalwart of the Bellator featherweight division, Henry Corrales. My guest is a former #1 contender, a multi-division threat, and honestly, one of the truly all-around talents in the entire Bellator roster. That man is the Spaniard himself, Juan Archuleta. Juan, thanks for giving me some time just so close to your fight with your very well-coiffed, impressive beard. I love it.
Right on, right on. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate
Now,
it.
I have a ton of questions, but before we get into this fight coming up with Corrales, I wanted to go back to the Pitbull title fight. That's a big fight, one of the biggest opportunities of your career so far. Going into that fight, what was like the game plan for you that you and the team came up for Patricio? Because you seemed very measured early on when it came to the striking, maybe a little bit more than your usual, which was interesting because oddly enough, on the broadcast when I was watching again, McCarthy was talking about because Patricio has a good gas tank, maybe the game plan should be to push on him hard early. Was there a concern with Patricio's power, so it made you be very careful, especially when timing what you have is very explosive movements in your fighting style?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Honestly, I'm not gonna hold back. I'm not gonna lie. There was some stuff that happened before the fight, not an hour before the fight took place, that kind of threw me off mentally. You know, kind of messed with me with the commission coming back there and pulling my corner out for me an hour before my fight, which I didn't think was fair, you know. And so my warm up, my game plan, just everything went out the window the first 3 rounds. And you know, fuck with me psychologically. I like to admit it. You know, we always try to be the strongest we can be and mentally strong. Nothing to penetrate us. You know, we're ready. But you know, I was ready for everything except that. You know, something that happens to you, but mentally, emotionally, it's bound off, and you know that's something that's at me that was just uncalled for, you know, by the commission, myself, our team. Professional
And
all
that's
around.
perfect, and it transitions right into the next question I had, because that's what I was going to ask about, because I'm a total novice. I follow the sport, but I do not have the expert eye like you, a top-level fighter, does when looking at fighters, but it did seem like you were a little bit off. You were like a hair off of your execution that you're always so very good at, and that's right, I forgot about, because it was TJ was taken out of the corner before that fight. Talk to me about why something like that does affect you. Why? Because you have an all-star corner. Why does having someone like him kind of removed from the situation, how important is he to your just all the processes you go through leading into a fight that can kind of really mess with a fighter?
So, you know, going into that fight, you know, if I had an all-star corner that I could choose, you know, that being Cub Swanson, TJ Dillashaw, Joe Stevenson, and adding Dwayne Ludwig in there, I mean, that's an all-star corner for me. You know, that's where I feel mentally tough. That's where I emotionally, physically, mentally, just going in there is where I feel the strongest. But you know, when I'm not able to have when I prepare with those people and have a game plan that we're able to dictate and train with those partners, and you go into a corner like to make adjustments, they call stuff out. They know how you're feeling. They know your mentality. They know how to make the adjustments and say the right things for you to make those adjustments. So, you know, when it's taken away from you, it's hard to rebound for it, because as fighters, we prepare for the worst in everything in a fight. You know, and that's why you did see me 4th and 5th round start to catch my groove, and I was able to do it myself and do it with some of the corner that I had. But everyone was mentally fucked in that going out into that fight, because we had just gotten a big argument with the commission. So, you know, of course, that's going to mentally mess with everyone. You know, it's just like, dude, we just got bombarded with this out of nowhere. You know, it's just like, so it's a little tough, you know, but this time we made the adjustment. We talked to the commission. They told us who was available, who's not available, and you know, there's so much black and white. I mean, there's so much gray area in the stipulations that they gave to TJ and some of the suspensions, and you know that they decided to do the dark area of the gray area and enforce it the night of the fight, instead of saying, okay, well, this is a gray area, so let's just go ahead and we'll add it on to the next one, you know, because ultimately they told me I should have done my diligence and made sure that it was that TJ was capable of cornering.
Wow.
And I said they've gone months ahead. And
Yeah.
I said, okay, for one, I did, because I filled out my corner. And for two, I didn't think I had to ask extra permission because TJ had just cornered me in New York. I said, so I apologize if you guys are trying to place the blame on me, but at the same time, it's a two-way blame streak. Like, you're not going to do this to Roger Mayweather. There's no fucking way.
No.
You're not going to on a money fight like this. But this is my money fight. This is what makes and breaks my career. This is what makes me $1 million man to $100,000 fighter. This makes me $1 million fighter instead of $100,000 fighter. And now you robbed me of that an hour before my fight. So, I'm pissed off. Yeah, I'm aggravated. And again, we're fighting in California, so obviously cordial, making sure that my I's were dotted, my T's were crossed. And it's kind of weird though, because all before that fight, I get drug tested with blood 6 times before I fight. Wow. And I asked anyone else, and they said no. And even before the New York fight, I got drug tested 4 times before my fight, which I don't care. Like, drug test every athlete. I have nothing to hide. Drug test me every week if you want, but all I care about is consistency. I haven't been drug tested once this whole fight camp. It's like, okay, so what are you guys doing here? The consistency's off. I don't appreciate them not being consistent with certain things. And this is my livelihood. I don't give a shit about your stupid rules and the shit you're trying to regulate. Like, you're making money off me, So it just sucks, And we could go back and forth. The commission could belittle me as well and say, well, and have their stance at it. But at the end of the day, I'm the athlete going in there risking my life. It's like telling someone not to celebrate when we just got done fighting a fist fight. It's like, dude, calm down. The guy just knocked someone out. He can't jump on the cage and go crazy.
Yeah.
So it's but I don't know, man. It's just a weird thing. It's a never-ending battle that you face with them, and you're never gonna win. That your opinion's not right because they're the experts and they know, right? So,
considering like what you mentioned about the blood test and the abnormal amount you were getting, do you feel in some way, because were you kind of like in a way victimized because of what happened with TJ and his failed test, especially because you were in New York after he failed in New York? Do you think in some weird way you got backlash unfairly for that?
Well, I think it's I think Bellator, they like, if I wanted to say, okay, drug test Pitbull, I think Bellator has to abide by those rules and drug test them. So maybe it was their camp that was asking for more drug testing on me, because they honor that. And me as a fighter, I was like, I didn't care. I don't have nothing to hide. Drug test me all you want, And I passed every single drug test, so there was nothing to hide on my part, But I'm just uncertain about the inconsistency that they do. Is it the state? I don't know. Is it the promotion? I'm not sure. Is it the opponent? I'm not sure either. So it's just weird because of the consistency of it. Like the New York test, I got drug tested 4 times, and they were on my ass about getting it done that day. And I'm like, okay, I'm headed there. Fuck, I have to train as well.
Yeah.
You can't just call me the day of and tell me I need to go drug test. When I have shit going on. I'm a professional athlete. I'm not some fucking guy that hangs out all day and just plays video games.
Yeah.
We're professional athletes that have a schedule and have a plan that we stick to.
And it's not a urine test; it's a blood test that affects your biology when it happens.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter to me. Blood test me all you want, piss test me all you want. Like I said, I have nothing to hide, and I'm more than happy to give it. But stay consistent with it, and stay consistent across the board, not just singling certain athletes out.
And it's unfortunate that we didn't get the best headspace version of you in that fight. But now that you have been in there with him, a guy that a lot of people consider the best fighter in Bellator history, and a guy I feel doesn't get enough credit for how good he is in the featherweight division. I've even had to push hard for Sherdog to even rank him in the Sherdog rankings. What about him makes him this guy that is really good, the best featherweight we've ever seen in Bellator, one of the best fighters, if not the best in Bellator? Is it people underestimate him in that they think about his power, his striking, but he's actually good wrestling? Yeah. He gave you trouble with the wrestling. And is he fairly a complete fighter? What maybe the most complete fighter you've ever faced?
Yeah, definitely. What's really good about him is he steps back and then he shuffles back. So he's good at controlling that distance. But I was more of a hunter that fight, and he was more of a sniper, So I was going out there trying to hunt him, trying to track him down, and trying to create a fight. And he was okay with sitting back and sniping and picking off shots. And it was like, you know, the only time he put me down was when I was coming forward, right. You know, when I was sitting there trying to make movement, trying to make a fight happen, I got put down. And it's okay. I'm okay with that because it's nothing that he did offensively that put me down. If it's something that was offensively that put me down, then I go to the drawing board and say, okay, where did I fuck up here? Like, what did I not do? What did I not go out and hold back, you know? But because I was creating this offense and pushing forward, I know now what to do. You know, I'm going to go out there now. And, you know, to me, it was just like, I didn't get to be able to do that from the first round. If I did that in the first round, it would have been a different story, you know? Granted that I did think he was, you know, in the first round, he was squeezing and thought he had a guillotine, but he didn't have it. So I was letting him zap himself out when I did get knocked down. You know, and then I was like, okay, cool. I'll just let him squeeze his arms out. But he did have a gas tank, you know, so I was like, oh, okay, now I need to start making him wrestle and scramble more. So yeah, he's good at being heavy, good at being strong and staying consistent with his pressure. You know, he is one of the best. You know, I don't think next time I fight him, I know for 100% that he'll never put me out. He hit me with the best shots he could possibly land on me. I mean, I feel like I could just stand in front of him and let him hit me, and he still won't put me away. And I think that's just my durability. You know, nothing lacking of his power. I just think I was unsure of how much. I've never been hit before. You know, I never knew. So now I know. Yeah. Now I have a different confidence, and you know, I'm excited to go out there now and fight with nothing to lose.
When we talked last time, you told me you had a vacation to Spain planned for after the fight. Was that like a loss? Was that loss difficult to get by, especially because of all the stuff that happened before the fight? And was that trip far away from everything even more necessary than you even expected it to be when you originally booked it? I'm sure you figured it was going to be a celebration, you know, a vacation. Was it good to just get away from everything after as frustrating of a loss that as it was?
Yeah, I didn't end up going because I was ready. I was ready to turn around and do a turnaround fight. Mm-hmm. But you know, I was actually booked for Japan, but the negotiations fell through. So you know, it was just shit. It was just a weird timing type deal. But yeah, I mean, if I would have won that title, I obviously,
you know, and I'm glad you brought up talking about fighting him again, stuff like that. Cause I'm curious on the path you now take, because you've made a name, you know, as a guy who can fight at multiple weights. Before the Pitbull fight, you fought at 135, called out Horiguchi. A lot of us thought you were gonna get Horiguchi next. Now having come up short in your title hopes at 145, you know it's gonna set you back. It's gonna take you a while to get back to this spot. Why didn't you next return to 135, where honestly another win? Or honestly, right now you can be a title contender. Or is this fight more, you know, that is the plan eventually, and this was about, okay, I don't want to sit on the sidelines. It's been a while since September. I got to get that money. I want to stay active.
Yeah, man. I mean, I really want to fight 6-7 times this year, and I've been telling Bellator since I signed with them. I said, listen, man, like, whatever you guys are trying to go prove with Dylan and fucking James and all these guys with catch weights and all this stuff, like, you know, I've been telling you guys since I signed. It's not an accident that I came into this organization a four division champ and fought 6 times and fought 7 times the year after. Like, I truly want to stay active. Like, you know, this shit's frustrating when you want to fight and they're pulling the reins on you. It's like, okay, if you're not going to let me fight, then, you know, what are we doing here? It's not money. Because when I first signed with you guys, I was making chump change and you guys weren't fighting me. Now I'm making a little bit of money. You know, I'm not saying I'm making the best money, but I'm making money and I'm still not fighting. So like, what's the situation here? You know, obviously they have a lot of fighters on the roster. They don't do as many, or, you know, I'm not a promoter, so I don't know, you know, but living through King of the Cage. And I did experience that, you know, selling tickets with them and doing my own promoting is obviously better when you have fights to promote. But when you only do 3 times a year, like, people don't give a shit about you. They're like, oh, this guy just wants to fight once in a while. Like, I'm trying to fight every damn chance I get. Like, I come through, win or loss on this fight. I want to fight again in March. Like, it doesn't matter to me. You know, I'll fight at 55. I'll fight at a catch weight at 170, you know, 65, 160, 135. Just let me know. You know, let's get this ball rolling. Let me stay active. It's not a money issue because obviously you proved that when I first signed with you that, you know, it's something. So, you know, I got to go in there, put Henry Corrales away in a devastating fashion and keep calling my shots. And, you know, I won't mind going down to 135, fighting for the title, or fighting Pettis, fighting, Goito, or even Patchy Mix, all these guys they have. I don't mind bumping up to 155. I don't mind keep taking out the fighters that lose in the featherweight Grand Prix. I don't mind doing catch weights at 165, 160. It doesn't matter to me. You know, I want to fight and I want to stay active. I want to stay relevant. And, you know, I fought 7 to 6 times a year for a reason. I fought different weight classes for a reason, you know, so let me utilize myself. Let me promote myself. Because if not, then, you know, show me the door. Let me go do something. Let me go somewhere where I can promote myself.
Has that been one of the most frustrating things about being part of the promotion? Because oddly enough, I mean, what you have going for you is not uncommon. Like I'm cool with Naaman Gracie. It took him a long time to get another fight after he lost to Rory McDonald, and then unfortunately got injured. So it seems like the higher up the pecking order you go in Bellator, the more infrequent your fight schedule is, and you are a guy that's up higher up the pecking order. Is it in a way now that you've signed, I think, a second deal with them, and you've been with them now, you feel like in a way were sold not sold a bill of not true goods? Like you were told you were going to get these fights, it really hasn't materialized for you in your run with them?
I think Scott Coker does a great job on the ideas he has. I think they're poorly executed by the other people that are trying to execute it, because they're understaffed, in my opinion. Yeah. You know, that's just me. That's just from saying, you know, like, you know, reporters have a job of reporting news and they get the outside looking in. I'm just reporting what I see from the outside looking in. It feels like 2 guys make the call on making calls for fights. If that's not enough for you, put more in there, or at least, you know, I'm out here calling out guys. I don't mind. I'll fight Campos at 55. I'll fight all these guys that get knocked out of the tournament at different weight classes. I'll fight up a weight class. I'll fight all these guys. I'll fight down a weight class. It doesn't matter to me. Just these guys need fights. I need fights. You know. But then they want you to fight someone in your backyard. It's like, dude, we're both from California. You want 2 guys to fight, and you want them to sell tickets. What the fuck? Am I in King of the Cage again? Like, dude, how many tickets can you sell? I don't give a shit how many fucking tickets I can sell. You know, it's just like, am I making commission off tickets? Am I making my purse off King of the Cage again? Because in that case, I'll go make my $75,000 a King of the Cage fight again. If that's the case, like if you're basing it on ticket sales, then fucking let me go and let me go fight for King of the Cage, and I'll go make $75,000 in ticket sales again off my friends. But I'm not doing that. You're a fucking You're making millions of dollars off the Zone, off Paramount. You know, you let us build our audience.
No, fair.
Don't let us fight. Don't make us fight local and say, okay, you're fighting a guy in your backyard. Like, if, you know, I love AJ McKee. I love Antonio. They're California representatives just like me. Henry Corrales, same thing. Aaron Pico. But when they try to push us to fight each other, it's like, for what? For amusement of filling up seats? Like, dude, there's guys like Adam Borgs. There's guys like Campos. There's guys like the English dude that came down to fight. I can't believe that was in the World Grand Prix. There's Weichel. There's, you know, all these guys. And you're trying to make us fight guys in our backyard, in our hometown. This ain't a fucking local show anymore. This is, if you're claiming to be the next, if you're claiming to be the best promotion in the world, then utilize us like UFC does. They don't give a shit.
You know, moving on to your fight coming up now. Based off the posts I've seen on social, you and Corrales seem like you're pretty friendly with each other, or at least there's no beef between you two. For some fans, the idea of actually fighting someone that you're cool with would seem difficult, at least in my mind. You know, you are a logical guy. You don't seem fueled by like a Diaz brothers level of rage on fight night. How do you embrace going into a cage and trying to bloody up someone you think that, you know, he's a kind of cool guy?
Yeah, well, that's like the point I was just trying to make. You know, they're trying to make us fight people that we see on a regional circuit all the time. You know, okay, now you want us to go and fight each other when we grew up 20 miles away from each other. It's like, you know, I did this in the regional scene. Like, why am I doing this in the bigger scene right now? Granted, he lost. Okay, then give me Campos. You know, I don't know him. I like him. I like him as a fighter and as an athlete. I don't know him physically. I used to see Henry all the time. I grew up with King of the Cage with them, like watching him fight when I first started fighting. He was a champ. Like, damn, that dude's a fucking savage. You know, now I'm like, okay, now I got to fight this guy that I've seen every week. His training partners were my training partners, and now it's just like, you know, it's just like he's fought all my teammates because they were all in the regional scene together. But that's how we know each other. But it's just like, how do you fuel something? How do you add fuel to that fire? Not only that. The only reason why we're gonna go out there and fucking try to knock each other's heads off is because we're both scrappers, and once one of us gets hit, we start pushing forward. You know, it doesn't matter who hits us at that point. You know, it's just like, you hit me, I'm going forward. I hit him, he's gonna come forward, and that's what makes for a great and entertaining fight with Henry Corrales and I. And I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited for this fight. I'm ready for this fight. I want to get vengeance on my teammates that he's beat and knocked out. But exactly, that's your point. You know, you see guys all the time, and how else do you want us to fuel this fire? You know, by selling local tickets.
And I'm glad and it's good to know that you've known him for so long and stuff like that, seen him for so long, because after switching to like the MMA lab, Henry has been on a tear until the Caldwell fight, where Caldwell and just wrestled him like he often does. Mm-hmm. Do you think he doesn't get enough credit as a really skilled fighter now? You know, and people are kind of wrong in thinking that he's just a brawler scrapper. He's gotten really, really good with the help of the MMA lab.
Oh yeah, he's really good. You know, he's his only loss, I believe, are the champions. You know, Caldwell. He's lost to Pitbull. Who else did he lose to? I forgot the other loss he has, but they've all been champions. You know, and he is he's in the in this fight. I go back to saying, you know, you got your hunted, the hunter, the sniper. Me and him are both the hunters coming into this fight. You know, we're not being hunted. You know, he doesn't feel like he's being hunted. He feels like he needs to go out there and hunt for his momentum back. I feel the same. And that's why you're going to get a brawl come, fight night, because we're both going to go out there and hunt each other down and try to get the kill and try to get the next notch on our career and keep moving forward.
Now, I wanted to ask you about this. I'm going to show you the picture from my phone. It's a post Henry put up on his social media. Now, I want to get your opinion on it. I don't know if you've seen it. Hopefully, can you see this on the camera?
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that for the people that see my camera, Henry's body shape difference? What are your thoughts on that? Because he put it in, that's his 6-week evolution, which is amazing how he transformed his body in that 6 weeks. But do you feel he's put enough in this camp into preparing for you? It seems like a lot of his camp was probably just trying to cut all that weight. Do you think he's not coming in prepared enough for the varied style and all-around skills you have, and that could be real trouble for him on fight night?
No, man, I see, someone which was in my similar self, on a good high rise, and then, a little bit of depression hits in after you lose, and you take it one or two ways. You sit back, you take a couple drinks of alcohol, you hang out, you go travel, go corner some teammates and try to get over it. I did the same thing. I was like, big props and thanks to my training partner, Cub Swanson, that got me out of depression the week after, or 2 weeks after my fight. He said, listen, man, like, don't be depressed you lost. Don't be mad that you didn't win. Like, you got to fight for a world title. Try being on a 5-fight winning streak and not getting a title fight. Try going into this fight like I am right now on a 4-fight losing streak, worrying about your job. Like, be motivated. Be happy you fought for the title. Be happy where you are and you could live to fight another day and you're uninjured and you could bounce back. So I think he had to go through that and step away a little bit from himself and go help other people, which he did, and go corner people to find himself and say, okay, look, I gotta move forward. And when both of our names came across, it was just like, man, this is gonna be a fucking barn burner, but this is what we need. This is what's going to put us back in the hunt and put us back in title contention, and make it keep our names.
And is that another level of like the weirdness of it? Not frustration, but kind of annoyance of it. Because going back to the points you made about Bellator, kind of doing this weird local vibe when they do their fight book, and then it's a dude you've seen, watch, and respect and like. Is it kind of sucky that one of you are going to kind of knock the other one another step back? One of you are going to put each other into a 2-fight losing streak and further push yourself out of contention? Is that kind of like, damn, man, I want to see him do well. He wants to see me do well. It sucks that we got to do this to each other.
I think we've both built a name for ourselves right now and built a brand that people want to tune in. Fair enough. After he knocked out Pico, he's built a brand. After he knocked out Andy Main, he built the brand of like saying like, dude, I'm gonna fucking tune in and watch this guy fight. True. Like, this dude's for real, right? And then same thing. I knocked out Peralta and Duty Dantes and went 5 rounds, and things didn't go well for me on Pitbull, but people know that I'm there to fight. I went the distance with the guy that just knocked out the 155 champ in the first round. It's just like, people are like, damn, this dude's coming to brawl and he's going to go forward no matter what. So I think we both built a brand now, win or lose, going on. Bellator, will put us both in situations to either replace anyone that gets hurt in the featherweight division because they know we're going to come and fight.
Right. What are your thoughts, going back to Pitbull now, what are your thoughts on Pitbull and Carvalho? Pedro is a good young fighter, comes from a good camp, but going from guys like Campos and Cecilia up to Pitbull is a very big jump up in competition level. Do you think he's ready for that kind of jump up in competition and could surprise, or is Pitbull pretty much getting a chance to pick him off well before his experience, matches his talent level?
Yeah, I think that last round, just the whole tournament was just stacked full of killers, and your training partners is who what makes you the fighter, right? I mean, you could train with guys down the street, say at this taekwondo gym that I have no idea about. Go there, train with these guys. I'm going to be just as good as those guys. But with me, I train with Cub Swanson, TJ Dillashaw, Georgie Karakhanyan. I train with killers, and so that makes me a killer because every day I'm in there fighting for my life. Every day I'm in there training my ass off to catch up to these guys. I think Cavallo's the same way. He's been training with Gallagher's. He's been training with McGregor's and Dylan Dennis's. That he is a killer now. He does have the rounds and the repetitions that he's put in to fight champions, because he has champions that are on the local scene for Ireland, champions that are on the worldwide scene like McGregor, and guys that are making names for themselves like Gallagher. And then, Pitbull, he has his brother in Cejudo and a great camp and a great coach, Eric Albersh, that, Eric, I think, does a great job in psychologically building fighters up and believing them in themselves so much that they feel unstoppable. So it makes for a great fight, and I am very interested. And if anyone gets hurt in that fight, count me in, because I'll fight either one of them. But no, I definitely want to go there and fight on that card as well, just in case anything does happen. Because it's gonna, and I want to see it in person. Right. Selfishly, that's why I want to go out there and fight, because I want to see that fight in person. But yeah, I'm excited for that fight.
Well, I hope you don't go, because in Connecticut, I usually go to the Mohegan Sun show, so hopefully I can meet you there. Yeah. Again, I met you at the Madison Square Garden show too. Lance Palmer did some training with you guys during season 2 in the PFL. I believe he was in your corner for the Pitbull fight. Seeing how he's done, winning $2 million now before taxes, of course. I'm sure we
plus fight purses.
Yep, plus fight purses. We talked about the frustrations you've had a little bit with how Bellator does and things and everything like that. Are you and guys in your gym, or just guys you've talked to in the industry, are guys starting to look at PFL a lot more seriously now? Like, that place is a viable option, especially now they just signed Rory. Season 3 is good. They got more investment. Do you yourself, when your contract comes up, of course everyone wants to go to UFC. That's always a top option. But are you looking at PFL like Lance is there? That's not a bad place to go.
Well, let me reiterate myself. Like, I didn't do my job right in order to keep myself in the tournament to make the money. That's why I fought the champ first, because I would have been making a hell of a lot more money than I would be right now. But that's why I try to fight the championship first, so I can make championship money. So there's opportunity in Bellator. Don't get me wrong. There's open checkbook, like I said, in Bellator. You just have to have the right representation, which I do, which would have put me astronomically ahead of a lot of UFC fighters, which I am right now, making more than subpar in the middle of the road UFC fighters. So I am 100% grateful with Bellator and thankful I am fighting for Bellator. I just want to fight more greedily, right? So we always want more action. And so going to your question, like, I do see fighters, similar as myself, watching Lance's career develop in the PFL is very exciting, because he gets to fight a lot. Some fights gets to fight twice on one night, and it's the end of the year, and now he gets the beginning of the year, which he's going to come out and corner me to, relax and regroup and take a couple months off until he starts back up in March or May, whenever the first fight is. But yeah, I mean, they're making a name for themselves. They're jumping ahead of the line. They're like the people that just signed and jumped right ahead and said, hey, we're front runners of an organization as well. We got the money now. We got the product that people want to see and that fighters want to fight for.